Welcome back to Conservative Conversations. I am your host, Reid.
And I'm Frank.
Today we're going to be talking about the vice presidential debate and other current events. And don't forget to subscribe and follow on our YouTube channel and your favorite podcast platform. Alright, so to get started, we're going to be talking about the vice president debate that happened last night as you're listening to this episode, if you listen on the day it comes out. And we're recording it the day before the debate, so we're mostly just going to kind of talk about what we think is going to happen and what we might like to see, and also talk about other hodgepodge of news topics that's been going on since we last officially recorded. And I guess so to get started, it's going to be J.D. Vance versus Tim Walz, SmackDown night.
I hope so. I mean, that's really, we already talked about it just the tiniest bit. And
Yeah.
that sort of is what I'd like to see, because just from what I have seen of Tim Walz, he seems kind of like a hothead.
Yeah.
And like you could ruffle his feathers or get under his skin pretty easily.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just sort of as a hunch and sort of what I've seen from what I have seen. So I'd sort of like to see J.D. Vance do that, sort of get him going and wind him up and see him
Get him
pop
flustered.
off. Yeah, I'd like to see him pop off. I told you it'd be cool to see him hitting the
podium
like that, getting real flustered. I think it'd be potentially a good show. See a real SmackDown, like you said. I mean.
Right. I actually think I'm a little more interested to watch this than I was for the Trump and Harris debate. Just because, of course, we haven't really seen either of these two debate, and we've seen Trump plenty of times, and we've seen Kamala debate before in the primaries. But these
a
two,
little bit. I think it was mostly like melodrama,
right? Yeah,
theatrics.
True.
But yeah, I guess we saw a debate,
right? Unless you're, tuned into your local politics, you probably really only have seen J.D. Vance and Tim Walz debate in their respective races. Like Tim Walz running for governor. Like I certainly didn't watch any of those, and even though I live in Ohio, I didn't see any of J.D.'s Senate race debates.
right?
So I think it'll be interesting to really see them both on a stage like that. And I definitely have a good feeling it's going to be, I think it'll go pretty well for JD. I don't know how spectacular, but I think it'll be pretty positive because
I think it will too.
he's definitely a smart guy. There's no doubt about that. And Tim Walz just seems goofy and not necessarily all that smart. I'm not necessarily saying he's dumb, but I don't think he's as well read as JD Vance is.
Well, and also, I agree with you 100% about JD. I think he's smart and thinks on his feet. And the other thing I'll say is we have a lot of issues going on. There's a lot going on that needs to be addressed. And I think sort of like I said going into the Kamala-Trump debate, I think like I said with Trump, you can just kind of let her talk, so to speak, and she'll cook her own noodle. You know?
Yeah.
Same with him is, you can just bring up the litany of issues and how, Walz isn't associated with a lot of them because he's not part of the current administration or anything, but he's attaching himself to Harris.
Right.
Who's got all this baggage on all these issues. So I think he should be able to just slam dunk on some of these things over and over and over. Some of the recent and things that I'm talking about is like we've just seen this recent Hurricane Helene, and how it has hit the East Coast and destroyed a lot of places, communities, killed up to 100 people. Some people still missing and stuff. Right. And I'm sure they'll both be sort of comparing, certain things, how JD's been able to do this for Ohio or do X for Ohio, do Y for Ohio. He'll probably bring up the East Palestine situation.
I was going to say that.
So, I mean, you'll probably will see these kinds of comparisons of like governorship, so to speak, of resources and how to manage in these types of situations and stuff. So, you know, that's why I say I think you'll see JD think on his feet. I bet he'll beat Walz to the punch on that because, like I said, I think Trump's already been down there helping, right? At least somewhere. I saw pictures of him, you know, passing out stuff, and at least the latest reporting I've heard is that Harris and Biden have yet to go.
Yeah, I have the. I think yet to go is right because I have heard they're planning to go soon, maybe tomorrow or within a couple of days of us recording. But yeah, as of yet, they haven't gone.
So I think that's interesting. I think you'll hear things like this. And, you know, there's a lot of other things going on. This latest stuff with I guess a lot of the Hezbollah leadership has just been taken out. Did you see some of that reporting?
Yeah, I think I heard numbers like 7 of them or something like that.
Yeah, a good number. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a good bit. So, I mean, you also hear things, I mean, that sort of is like a victory, I feel like.
Right.
But you already see them trying to reassemble, appoint a new leader,
right,
regroup, and you hear warmongering talk from Iran, and there's talk more, and once again, more talk of there being yet a wider war.
Right, yeah.
And I heard, you know, Israel, I guess, is gearing up to move north again towards Lebanon.
Right.
And there might be, I guess, an actual battlefront. So
yeah, I heard there are like rivers that run across the country that they're going to kind of use as their marking spots. They're going to push up to the river. Yeah, I've heard that.
So
it's definitely getting real intense over there.
It is getting tense.
Yeah.
And I'm sure somebody like JD will be highlighting, you know, how we need somebody to take charge over this stuff.
Right.
And we need somebody to just tell Hezbollah that, no, you're not going to hide in these places anymore.
Right.
You're not going to hide. You're not going to live. That's for sure. You're
not going to keep firing rockets day after day into innocent civilian territory.
We're done with this.
Yeah.
That's what it needs. We just need somebody to say, enough, done.
Right.
We're done. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what kinds of points they each raise. Right. Because I think JD will be concerned more with these real life, you know, consequential things. Yeah. And I think you'll probably hear a lot of the general stuff from Walz and from the Harris side.
But yeah, I'm sure that situation is going to come up in the debate too, and they're going to be asked, you know, how would they help bring the war to an end, or what their plans are to make peace agreements or whatever.
I know, because something has to be done. Right. Something has to be done to move the needle, because once again, I mean, all of the American people can see it.
Right. Yeah.
We're back in these endless wars that we were just broken out of. We had just like the briefest little like 3.5 year period where we weren't at war with the world.
Right.
And now we're right back at war with the world again, basically. You know, we're involved in all these things all over the place.
I can't imagine what would have happened within those 3 years.
What was that?
Who knows? That's
Why
quite
can't we
some
have
mystery.
it back again? Be done with these
yes, I hope
wars.
we do. Right? Yes, I mean, I'm really, like I said, I'm hopeful that this debate's going to be positive for JD, because I think if it's positive for him, I hope he'll reflect positively towards Trump and getting people to vote for him. Because I know at least some people, you know, in my personal life that have mentioned that they're not too sure about JD Vance, so hopefully this might help.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I think it'll be good too, because I think that the Republicans do put forward a logical more financially sound way forward than the Democrats do. And we have had some recent successes, not great ones, but they were finally able to clobber together enough of a majority to get through a spending package to avert shutdown. And I think that's probably good going into the elections, I mean, this isn't a time to let, what's his face, my favorite guy in the Senate, one of my two favorites, what's his name, Paul, just get up there and just gerrymander about funding this and funding that and funding every little thing. No, not going into the elections. Let's just fund the government, get that settled, just have that done. Because we're not going to shut the government down right now while we're having a presidential election, for goodness sakes, and about to have an inauguration and all this. No. So it's good that we're not arguing over that,
Right.
And it was good that the Republicans were able to get it done, because they blamed the Republicans for not getting the first package.
Right, of course.
So if we're going to take the blame for it, then okay, let's take the win. We got it done. The government's funded.
Right.
That's how I would view it and frame it.
Right.
Moving forward, we're good going forward. What's his name? Is it Johnson?
Yep, Mike Johnson.
Was able to get that done.
Yep.
So, hopefully JD will maybe hit a point or two like that, that we have good plans going forward, that we've got good movement. We're able to clobber together majorities when we need to, and hopefully, isn't there some talk that we might take the Senate or...
I've heard more favorable results for the Senate compared to the House. The House, at least from some of the podcasts and stuff I've listened to, isn't looking quite as good. I don't think I've really heard it's a for sure flip back to the Democrats. But the Senate is where it's definitely more positive, because we're most certainly going to pick up another R from Jim Justice in West Virginia. I can't imagine. I don't even know who he's running against.
Yeah.
I can't imagine whoever that guy is going to win. So that's already going to put us, I think, at 50-50. So we just need one more. And the state I've heard the most about is Montana. I think it's Montana with... I can't remember the guy's name. But I think if it's not Montana, it's Wyoming, but I'm pretty sure it's Montana.
Well, the other thing that I know is in a recent interview that Kamala sat for, the interviewer asked her, she was asking her about some of her financial policies and stuff and some of her proposals about, this and that. And she pushed back on her and she said, well, what happens if you guys aren't able to raise the corporate taxes and you're not able to, raise some of the funding that you want to do these programs? Right. She said, well, you just move forward and just borrow to do the programs.
Well, you have to get it done.
Kamala just kind of giggled at her and she said, well, we have to raise corporate taxes. Yeah. We have to raise corporate taxes.
That's what I heard.
But my point about that is even the person, interviewer, gave her that little bit of pushback and said, well, what happens if, they take the Senate, you don't have the Senate and the Senate won't approve, what do you do then? Right. That was one of the things she cited in the question was what happens if the Republicans have the Senate. So I guess there's good talk or good consideration that we're going to be taking the Senate. Yeah. That's what I took from that question.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense.
So I think that's good. It seems like we've got some good things going for us, and I think JD's a good candidate. I think he'll do well.
Yeah, me too. I think so.
So, and we've seen some other positive things, like the Fed just cut interest rates by like 0.5 point or something like that, right?
Yep.
So
0.5%.
Yeah. So I think the markets have, reacted pretty positively to that.
Yeah, they keep setting records. I know S&P did last week.
Yeah.
And the Dow Jones.
Well, and then it seems like a lot of the riskier markets, the high-risk markets, a lot of these altcoins and things that don't really have any backing or anything like that have sort of exploded. There's a lot of speculation on those right now. That's been kind of interesting to see. I mean, I'm kind of interested in those altcoins, but it was also, I mean, did you expect them to cut it by half a point? I hadn't heard that. I'd heard maybe a quarter.
Well, I didn't really know what to expect, but I had heard from what I like to listen to that it could have been up to 50, but most people thought it was probably just going to be the 25 basis points.
Yeah. It does seem like there's been some positive reaction to it, so that's what I like to see. I mean...
Yeah, definitely from as far as the market goes, yeah. I've heard mixed reviews on what people think.
I mean, I think it was a bad idea overall, but he's kind of nice in effect.
Yeah, right. Yep, if you need if you need some money and you got some stocks to cash out, now's a good time. Could be anyway, depending on your situation.
Yeah.
Consult your own advisor.
But
go ahead.
Well, no, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, some of the concern is that like the stock market is like overvaluated and it's gonna kind of pop and correct itself at some point.
Oh, it's got to.
Yeah. Some people think within the next 6 months to a year, depending on who you're asking, because it's one of those things it's.
Well, I think that's why you see so much
answer. But
I think that's why you see so much speculation in these riskier markets, though, too.
Right.
Because I think some people can see the writing on the wall,
Yeah.
And
Right. Well,
it's a good time. Well, some might say that it's a good time to get out right now, to be honest with you. Before it corrects,
Right. In today's episode of the Fox Business Rundown podcast, the guy that was on, one of the things he had mentioned that people who are sitting in cash aren't really sure what to do because, interest rates are starting to come down, but you can still get a good money market fund that gets you like 4.8% annually. But at the same time, the market keeps going up. So some people don't know exactly what to do with their money because there's still a lot of cash floating around, according to this guy. So who knows what might happen?
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting. I mean, especially with some of the things that we know are going to be coming up recently. I mean, soon. Like, you were just telling me this, but apparently the new job numbers are supposed to come out soon.
I believe on Friday, the first Friday of the month, October.
Yeah, and that doesn't always have a huge impact, but it probably will set a sort of tone going into October.
Right.
And there's also this other looming story about, you were telling me, you seem to know a lot more about it than I do, but about the ports of entry or whatever, about how they're going to
be... shipping ports, the Longshoremen Association's going on strike if they don't come to any agreement on their union contracts by midnight on the, I guess
tonight.
Yeah, midnight tonight.
As of recording. Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see. I mean, we don't know how it is right now, but assuming they don't get an offer or, an agreement, I should say.
Yeah.
Then, midnight tonight, they'll be on strike. So, I guess that'll be sort of like having that ship stuck in the canal or that kind of thing, cause those supply chain issues that we've seen before.
Right, and that's the big concern, especially at this time of the year.
Yeah, going into the holidays, going in right before Christmas when everybody's going to be doing their Black Friday shopping and all that kinds of stuff. So it will be interesting to see, you know.
Right. Yeah, I almost feel like we had to deal with this not that long ago, and I kind of wish I had looked into it to see if it was true, but I don't know. I feel like we're sometimes always dealing with these union strikes and their contracts.
Well, and I think in a way, it's almost changed when these things hit. Like, I think the spring, you know, that first quarter of 25 will probably look a lot better than this last, you know, the holiday seasons are probably not going to be very good. Right. I wouldn't expect. But then next year, January, February, March, it seems like things usually are pretty good in March. So,
yeah.
I'm sure probably as things have changed over the years, you probably did see higher spikes towards December 31st, you know?
Right.
But it seems like things have kind of changed, and you're not doing the brick and mortar as much anymore. And, you know, a lot of people wait to do their returns and their purchasing and, you know, all of that kinds of stuff for the new year. So,
yeah.
I think the culture has kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, shopping trends definitely have.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. But I think this strike, especially if it lasts a long time, could be pretty big because it covers various ports all up and down the East Coast and even into the Gulf Coast, from my understanding. Like almost, I guess I don't really want to say because I don't know. I was going to say almost half of the country's ports, but I don't think it's that much. But a very good chunk of them. So it's...
Well, I wonder, and I have a little bit of a hunch here, but if any of them have been damaged in this Hurricane Helene...
Oh, yeah, I would just add to it.
They'll probably... Well, here's my hunch, is they'll probably be able to bundle the issues together, get some of that FEMA money, you know,
right,
kind of massaged into these contract deals, so... Right. You see what I'm saying? Sort of supplement a little bit from, since it's a federal emergency, kind of say, oh, okay, we'll free up a little extra money for your department, you know?
Right.
Solve this contract deal. All of a sudden, we got these extra federal dollars here on the table. We can say, okay, boys, yep, Christmas come early.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll hopefully come to some kind of agreement soon, but it'd be interesting if that's sort of how the deal could work out.
I just bet you, I mean, I know sometimes it just takes butter, right? To butter that bread, and usually when FEMA gets involved, the lid to the butter sort of comes off.
Yeah, the money tap opens up and starts flowing.
I bet you there's going to be a lot of bread gets buttered over this Hurricane Helene.
Yeah, it's definitely been a mess. I heard a clip of Governor Kemp from Georgia saying it's basically like a 250-mile wide tornado.
Well, it is horrible. And, you know, of course, we'd like to say a prayer for the dead and those who... you know,
were impacted.
Yes, those who remember them and feel that loss. I'm sure the community will be reeling for months to come. So we certainly wish them well. And I know that you can donate through the Red Cross if you like to do that sort of thing. They have a fund open right now for these communities. So,
right.
That is available if you feel so moved.
Yep, definitely. Have we gone through the whole list?
Yeah, that's everything.
Let me look at the time real quick.
It's probably, 40 minutes?
No, not quite. About 30-ish.
Alright,
hold on here? I guess I got something I can bring up.
Dead air.
I'm just trying to think of a way to bring it back in.
That ain't funny.
Dump it on her head. Talking about
The lemons, you suck on them.
Yeah, the storms have definitely been pretty devastating. I bet you they'll come up in the debates too. They'll probably ask like how would they deal with stuff like this, because who's hosting it?
I don't recall.
Well, not Fox. That's all I know. It's not Fox. So I'm sure they're going to say global warming's causing more storms, terrible storms than ever before. What are you going to do to combat climate change and stop the hurricanes?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, especially if they used that specific framing. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah.
But I also wouldn't be surprised if one candidate beat the other to it and sort of framed it their own way to avoid such false framing,
Right,
but
yeah.
I don't know. We'll just see how it comes up. And I am sort of curious to see how Walz thinks on his feet, because I haven't really watched him perform.
Right, yeah, same.
So I don't really know what he's going to bring to the table, if he would be trying to make that kind of point on his own. But I just don't see it from now. From where I sit now, I don't see him being that.
Yeah. I don't really either. I think, kind of like you're saying, I mean, it's all about the timing, but I could definitely see J.D. Vance bringing it up on it before it gets mentioned.
Well, and it's interesting, that the viewers, when they're hearing this, might have already seen the debate.
Right, yep,
so
that'll be interesting to...
Yeah, and
see.
you'll have to write in and let us
please
know.
do. I think it will be interesting to see what kind of we got right, or what we did.
And what you thought about it too.
Right.
I mean, maybe what you thought going into it versus what you saw,
right?
Kind of thing. Give us your reaction. I'd be very curious to see how you guys feel about this VP debate.
Yeah.
Whether it'll be consequential.
Right. Yeah, you can send us emails. Find both of our email addresses are going to be in the show notes. And you can also go over to our YouTube channel. Just search at Conservative Conversations 92. And you can leave a comment on the YouTube upload and let us know what you thought and what we got right and what we didn't get right. Or what we got close to our predictions here.
That's right. We'd love to hear from you, or you could opine, as Bill O'Reilly famously says, about anything you wish, actually. I mean, feel free to write to us.
For sure.
Give us ideas for future shows, or if you want to shout out on the air or something like that, just feel free. We'd love to hear from you.
Right. And also be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also follow us on your favorite podcast platforms. And you can find us on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, and most major podcast platforms. And you can go visit our podcast host, Red Circle, to become a paid subscriber to hear extra segments that weren't included in the public episode.
That's right. And we hope you might share us with a friend or two and mention to them about becoming a paid subscriber so that they have access to all of the same bonus and exclusive content that you have access to. And as always, we thank you for listening.